Cracking the Man Code. This sounds like a dating app, doesn't it? However, you won't believe me, but this ebook called Cracking the Man Code, written by Matt Boggs, who is an expert in love and relationships, actually wrote this book to improve our relationships in all facets of life. This book, Cracking the Man Code, teaches us how to have better relationships, better communication, deeper understanding of our spouses, our love interest, our children, our friends, and yes, even in the business world. How is that possible with a book named Cracking the Man Code? You'll learn from Matt Boggs in all of his experience that these are actually general terms, they're universal terms that we can use in all facets of our life. What and who relationships would you like to improve? When you think about this, focus on, when you're reading the book and you're listening to the book, focus on a relationship that might need repair, a relationship that you might need to build trust. Maybe you need forgiveness in a certain relationship. Matt addresses that giving is one of the first steps in building a deeper relationship, whether it's with your children, siblings, at work. How many of you think or you feel, I'm not going to do anything for this person until they do something for me? That actually stops the process of having better trust, better understanding, compassion, empathy. That idea, that thought process of I'm not giving until I get, thwarts any kind of deeper emotions and feelings with someone you would like to have a better relationship. He gives the example, there's 3 examples, one of which I'll cover now. Give patience. In giving patience, how many of us think when we're in an environment, I'm so guilty of this myself, we're in either a corporate environment or we're with our spouse and they're telling us something, and instead of us being patient and listening to the end, we're actually tapping our foot or looking at our fingernails or looking off in space. We're thinking, come on, get to the end. Would you get to the point? We're all guilty of this. However, he says the first step in deepening relationships in any environment is to give patience. Think about our elderly parents, the way that they're walking slowly and the way that they forget things. Aren't we all guilty of, come on, would you speed things up? Well, I want you to start reading this book and learn how to give patience. He gives the example of with his kids. Matt will tell you he's notorious for rushing things himself. He wants to finish a project, a mission, an errand, and get on to the very next one instead of being in the moment. A friend was with him, and they were simply going shopping with the 3 kids. His kids are 8 years and younger. They're going past a park, and the kids are saying, Dad, stop, we want to play at the park. Just 5 minutes, Dad. Matt wouldn't do it. His friend talks to him later in the day, and he goes, Matt, from someone who has experienced the same thing, the next time you go out with your kids and they see a park and they want to stop for 5 minutes, just do it. Matt listens to him. They're out doing something the next day. I think he was going to teach them golfing, so he was really in a rush to get to the golf course. He had another mission. The kids see the park and they just, Dad, please, there's a park just for 5 minutes. His paradigm comes in. He doesn't want to do this. He realized his friend had taught him otherwise. He stops at the park and he says, let's make a deal. 5 minutes, you're playing. And then we got back in the car and get to the golf course. They get out, they run toward all the playground equipment. He calls time after 5 minutes. They scramble back in the car and they're deliriously happy. And now he does this. And that's what it means about giving patience, even to your siblings, to your children. There is a huge lesson in that for us. I think we are so impatient in today's world to not be in the moment and just think about the next thing that we need to get done. Kundalini Yoga, in the virtual class that I have attached in the details, the link, Har Prakash also teaches us one of the most important things to do in building stronger relationships is open your heart. What does that mean? You can do Kriyas from her virtual class that specifically talks to us about how to give forgiveness, how to be empathetic, how to be compassionate. And all of these involve opening our hearts. I believe we have so much hatred in the world because we simply don't know how to use empathy and compassion and patience. When you do her Kriya, sometimes you can just listen to the link that I put on my podcast for Kundalini Yoga. You don't have to get on the floor and do this. They're largely breathing exercises. They're not some crazy positions. Practice Har Prakash's link for virtual class called Open Your Heart. Also meditation. Carrie Kopasek's information on meditation, so simple and easy to do. Both of these, Kundalini Yoga and meditation, really open your heart, keep you focused, and lend clarity to your lifestyle. Lastly, wine. I'm focusing on South African wines for several weeks because they are really unknown to most of the people in the United States. These are exceptionally quality wines. They are phenomenal vintners with phenomenal estates. The specific woman I'm going to talk about has a first-class Bordeaux property in France. At 78, she began to look around in other countries. South Africa specifically won her heart, Stellenbosch. She wanted to create another winery. Her last name is pronounced Lacassin. It's in the podcast details, but this is really someone to explore in her wines. The wines have 3 different levels. The entry level is called Lady May. It's a short name for her. They are your typical Bordeaux blends, Cabernet, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. She is also very famous for her glass collection. She has a world-renowned glass collection in a museum on the property that dates back to 1600. Really is a fascinating woman. Her history, I cannot tell you at the age of 78 how enthralling it is to see what she has done with her winery, with her estate in her later years of being 78. All those links are on my podcast. In conclusion, it's important to learn how to crack that man code because the lessons in this book, the teachings, the instructions, they're universal concepts. It's not just dealing in a love relationship. This is not about dating apps. It's really relationship, important information for all of us, whether it's business, friendships, siblings. The Kundalini Yoga practice and the meditation will also help you when you open your heart, and that's what this Kriya is all about. Lastly, South African wines are affordable. They are exquisite. They are undiscovered. Check out the link to Glen Ellie. If you need help finding these wines, always text me. You can send me an email. All that information is in my contact details at the very end of this podcast. I'm Valerie Hale. I create this podcast once a week to help people create a blueprint for the life they would love. Merci et au revoir.